his bad fortune that that's happened, doesn't question why God did it to him, doesn't question where was God at that particular point of time. What he questions is, what is there for me to do now? Now, that is the key to understanding this dilemma. The question that you and I have for ourselves is not, why is God doing this? Although you're encouraged to try and understand it. And the Gemara says that if things are going wrong for you, one of the things you have to do is to check your deeds, because you're bringing a bad destiny on yourself because of what you're doing. But that's not the main game. The main game is to understand that the toil that you feel forced to endure is actually a present. So why is it a present? So the Rebbe goes on to explain an incredible thing. He explains that what is it that you can give to another person? What's the most precious thing you can give? Take your children or your grandchildren. What's the most precious thing you can give your children? So some people say money, some people say security, some people say safety.
Probably education.
Some people say education. What's the most precious thing to yourself?
Yes.
If you give of yourself to your children or grandchildren, really of yourself, it's the most precious gift you can give them.
Yeah.
Hashem is, by definition, the creator. The thing that is most the property, that you can't really talk about a property for God, but the most, to get it into baby language, if God is a creator and he wants to share of himself with his humanity, then the biggest present he can possibly do is to make them into creators. And we create out of toil. That's the mantra, that we create out of toil. That's the formula. Toil is the springboard for achievement. And that when that achievement, and let me give you a mad example. Let's take the universe. The universe is working beautifully, all in order. The planets are all going around, the stars are all 4 billion galaxies. You're a student of microbiology, you know that on your arm there are millions and billions of microbes, all knowing what they're doing, all going around doing whatever they're doing. Sperm somehow or other incredibly finds its way to a woman's egg, fertilizes the egg. You don't have anything to do with that. I don't have anything to do with that. All of this is orchestrated and run and done by God. And yet, in all of this, nothing in creation creates anything. Nothing creates anything. Horses don't create cities. Music isn't written by donkeys. But we humanity, look at the globe. We humanity have progressively, year after year, Rosh Hashanah after Rosh Hashanah, built cities, built technology, built buildings, built music and drama and literature and language and wisdom. We've learned to exchange ideas. We are creators. That's all at Gashmias level. But the real game is to be a creator at the spiritual level, where you're creating harmony and where you're creating goodness, and where you're creating children and generations that thrive in living together in peace and harmony and benefiting each other. And this toil is the springboard for this. Okay. Then there's a spiritual level to this creation. Look at what Am Yisrael have achieved through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. We have invented looking after the sick. We've invented tzedakah. We've invented caring for other people, prioritizing other people's needs over our needs. And the world's, not all of it, Hamas, Yimak Shemoy and Hatzalah don't understand what we're talking about, but a lot of people do. How many people do? How many non-Jews give tzedakah today? In fact, of the billionaire world, they've learned tzedakah wonderfully from us. 5 minutes ago, they belonged to a religion that said neither a lender nor a borrower be. And they seriously believed that charity was an evil. They've learned from us. So there's a real building going on, and that building that is going on, not only in Gashmias, but much more specific, much more importantly in Ruchnias, is how we build a Dira B'Tat Toim, how we build a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world. And we do that by increasing the light of spirituality, by learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. And it's toil. It's toil. It's not, to put on tefillin every day is how many people put on tefillin and realize that you're binding your arm and your physical strength to God, and your head and your intellect and your understanding, you're binding to God. Most days you come in and you put on your tefillin, and make the bracha, he's daven 1, 2, 3, and you suddenly, oh look, I'm already up to Aleinu, But notwithstanding that, you're still doing it. And every time that a Jew does a mitzvah, he is increasing light. Whether you perceive it or not, it is irrelevant. Can you focus on it more? You can. And exactly the same way as this guy focused on his panic attacks rather than on the career he lost at the bar, everybody has the ability to focus on that. And how do you know what is your hashgacha pratis and what are your problems and what is the job that you've got to do? How do you know what that is without a rebbe? There's a simple answer to that in Chassidus. How do you know? It's happening to you. It's your life. Hashem is giving you your life because your life is what your job is. My life is what my job is. And it's ridiculously stupid to try and compare me to you or you to me. Or we have different givens, we have different nurture, we have different nature, we have different, everything is different. Even identical twins with almost identical DNA are not the same. So everybody has a different set of tests and a different set of challenges. And each person needs to, if they want, the benefit of this is to learn this issue of perspective. I wanted to talk to you about Eretz Yisrael a little bit, but we're running out of time. I'd rather than do that, I'd like to go back to this letter from the Rebbe that we started on. The letter from the Rebbe said this: what do? I'm a shoiket, I've got 2 brothers, they can say Kaddish. Do I stay here and they'll say Kaddish for me and I'm earning money and they're not, so I can pay for the funeral? Or do I say goodbye here and go to a town and risk not having any parnosa and join them in saying Kaddish? What should I do? So I don't know what you think the Rebbe would have answered, but let me tell you what he did answer. He answered that earning a living is part of hashgacha pratis. It's one of the brachas. You have 3 main brachas in life: money, health, and children. And to have parnosa is a bracha. So to throw away the parnosa, you have to think very carefully. To throw away parnosa is at one level not clever. So he says, and the Rebbe says now, in particular, your brothers don't have parnasa, and you will therefore be able to pay for the funeral. And it's not as though nobody's saying Kaddish for your father. You've got your two brothers, your father. So I recommend that you stay. So I don't know if that was your thought of what the Rebbe would say, but that's what he says. And then there's 3 more lines. It's another paragraph. And the Rebbe then says this, but I don't know where you're holding in Betochen. I don't know what level of Betochen you're at. Now, there's no room for bullshit here. I mean, we're not talking about somebody who's pretending. The Rebbe's talking to him truthfully. I don't know what level of Betochen you're at. It may be that you are at the level of Betochen where you will understand that if you believe enough, Hashem will give you the parnasa there too. What, you're telling me he can't give you parnasa there? But you need to be genuinely at that level, right? That's what we're talking about here. The same thing is happening. It's a question of perspective. And it's got to be genuine perspective. It can't be, oh, I've been to Kremnizer Shir, so from now on I'm at Tzadik Gomer, and you've got to go to the gym. We've got to learn this over and over again. I've got to learn it over again when I'm teaching it. This isn't easy. I've been learning Torah 50 years. I've never once seen anywhere on any page that it's easy. I'm telling you that now. It's not easy. But when you hear the Rebbe's answer to this man, it's a completely different life. One life, the correct thing to do is to stay there and earn the money to pay for the funeral, and your brothers are going to say Kaddish, and that's the sensible advice. If you're an ordinary person. And he's not talking to a secular Jew, he's talking to a shoichet who's a frum, Torah learning, mitzvah observant Jew. And he's telling him to stay there. But if you have and he's not saying pretend, move and pretend. He's saying if really you have that level of, then this won't apply to you. Because the betochen creates the parnasa. Now, I need everybody to hear this very clearly. It is a creative energy of itself. The belief that Hashem is looking after you causes Hashem to look after you. The belief that Hashem is going to feed you, as certainly as He's fed you every day until now, causes you to be fed by Hashem. It is a creative, causative energy, as is tshuva. One of the reasons that we go wrong is to enable us to do tshuva. When you do tshuva, you add light that wasn't there before. Sorry, when you do tshuva, you illuminate something that was always there latently. But again, it's a matter of perspective, because you can't. I'm just finished with one example that my first teacher taught me. He used to say, there are some people that they go overseas. He said he once had a student. The student went overseas and got robbed. Because in those days there was a racket going on. The travel agents would tell the baddies that the person's left, and they'd go and knock off their houses. So he said there was this guy that he was teaching, and he taught him for about 10 years. And in those 10 years, he took 3 or 4 overseas trips. And in those days, an overseas trip was a big deal, not like now. So he said that the guy got robbed. So what did the guy do? When he came back and he was filling out the insurance claim with his insurance assessor, he saw they were paying him 60% of the value of the goods, because they claimed that this had gone down and that. So he thought, hell with that. And so he inflated the price of the things by that percentage and got paid. And he went overseas He got robbed again. And again, he did the same, and he went over and he got robbed again. And I'm sitting with this teacher of mine, and he said to me, and he was nearly crying. He said, "How long does it take to learn? How long does it take to learn? How many times do you have to keep lying and getting the negative result until you understand that that's what's causing the negative result?" You know, at the end of the day, where does your money come from? It comes from God. If it comes from God, and God says don't steal, one of the 10 commandments, how can you enrich yourself by stealing? It's a matter of perspective. And the more your perspective is that you're certainly not going to steal, because stealing isn't going to give you the money, God's going to give you the money. So the more you're tuned into your relationship with your God, the more you'll have what you want. Do you want something separate to that? That's also a level. There are people who don't want anything. The Alter Rebbe is recorded as saying, "I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your oil and marbah, all I want is you." And at a private level, that's available to everybody. So all of this is introduced by Parshas LECH-LECHA. So I'll say L'chaim to you guys. And it worked.